What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected stars finally loses his cool? Live, on national television. Tension gripped the View studio like a vice. Michael B. Jordan sat stiffly in his chair, jaw set, eyes darkening with every passing second. What was meant to be a routine promotional stop for his latest film quickly spiraled into something much more volatile. And by the time the dust settled, the audience was left stunned, the panel fractured, and the internet already ablaze. But before we unpack the fiery exchange that rocked daytime TV, make sure you subscribe and drop a comment, because this one will be talked about for years. It started innocently enough. The lights were bright, the set buzzing with its usual energy as Michael took his seat, flashing the charming grin that made him a box office mainstay. He came ready to talk stunts, passion projects, and storytelling. Whoopi welcomed him with warmth. Joy cracked her usual quips, but Sunny Hostin, she barely looked his way, arms folded, posture stiff. "So, Michael," Whoopi began, "tell us about this new film. We heard you did your own stunts again." Michael leaned in, animated. "Yeah, I always want to push myself, hanging from helicopters, diving through explosions. My stunt coordinator probably aged a decade watching me." Laughter rippled through the audience. Everyone was on board, except Sunny. "That's all very impressive," she cut in suddenly, her tone sharp. "But I'm more interested in why audiences should care about another mindless action film while there are real issues going on in the world." The air shifted. Michael blinked, his smile faltering. "I think entertainment plays a vital role. People need moments of escape, especially in hard times. Escapism," Sunny echoed, venom in the word. "How convenient for someone in your position to sell distraction while people out there are hurting." Joy shifted uncomfortably. "Sunny, Xman, he's here to talk about the movie." But Sunny leaned forward, eyes locked on Michael. "You're one of the few black actors at your level. And this is how you use your platform. Blowing stuff up and kissing pretty women." Michael's fingers gripped the chair armrests. "With all due respect, you don't know what I do behind the scenes. I've built production companies to uplift black filmmakers. I fund scholarships. I support community initiatives." "Oh, please," Sunny cut in, waving her hand. "A couple of tax write-offs don't erase the fact that you're playing into every harmful stereotype. The angry black man. The violent hero. Don't you think you owe us something more?" Silence. Deep and suffocating. Michael took a breath, fighting to keep his composure. "I have a responsibility to tell stories that connect. If you actually watched my films, you'd see they're about family, redemption, and struggle. Not just explosions. Save the PR script," Sunny snapped. "When was the last time you turned down a role because it didn't uplift the community?" The Whoopi tried to interject. "Let's all take a moment." But Michael held up a hand. "No, let's go there," he said. "You want transparency. I've turned down more money than most people see in a lifetime because I didn't believe in the message. I've fought for better scripts, better characters, diverse crews. But you wouldn't know that, because you already decided who I am based on a poster." Sunny laughed coldly. "Now you're the victim. Poor millionaire star being asked a tough question." "I'm not playing the victim," Michael said, his voice firm now. "I'm defending my name. You're questioning my integrity, my identity, my contributions, all because you don't like action movies." "I'm questioning your priorities," Sunny fired back. "Young black men look up to you. And what do you show them? That success means designer suits and playing pretend." The set was frozen. The hosts exchanged worried glances. This wasn't a spirited debate anymore. It was an ambush. Michael leaned back, disappointment in his eyes. "What's really sad is this. Two successful black people sitting here, and instead of lifting each other up, you're tearing me down because my path doesn't fit your mold. Don't try to turn this into some kumbaya moment," Sunny replied. "This is about accountability, and maybe your PR team didn't prep you for that." My PR team prepped me for a conversation. Michael snapped. Not a courtroom. And certainly not a lecture from someone who's decided they're the gatekeeper of black excellence. The air dropped a few degrees. Sunny slammed her palm against the table. Muggs jumped. "I'm doing my job," she said through gritted teeth. "Asking tough questions. That's what journalists do. Sorry if you're too comfortable to handle it." "Real journalism," Michael retorted. "Then ask me about my work. Ask me about the roles where I played a lawyer fighting injustice, a father reconnecting with his daughter, a sci-fi pilot exploring new worlds. Not just the muscles and explosions." But Sunny was already rolling over the correction. "I've seen how you play the game," she snapped. "Safe roles, safe scripts, never challenging the system you benefit from." The murmurs from the audience grew louder. Phones were out. The control room was a frenzy of hand signals and panicked directives. But nobody on stage was stopping. Michael shot up from his chair, then paused, exhaled, and slowly sat back down, his jaw clenched tight. "You want to know what's really fascinating," he said, voice trembling under the weight of restraint. "You sit here every day, collecting a Disney paycheck from one of the biggest entertainment machines in the world, and you want to lecture me about selling out." Sunny's brows furrowed. "Don't try to flip this on me." "Oh, I'm flipping it," Michael fired back. "When's the last time you challenged the hand that feeds you?" "Sunny," her voice rose, matching his intensity. "I speak truth to power every day on this platform. From the safety of the studio," he snapped. "With your makeup done, your script rehearsed, and your hot takes pre-approved." He leaned forward, eyes locked on hers. "You want to talk about impact? I built a production company that hires hundreds of people, mostly black and brown. I mentor actors. I fund film programs in communities that never had access. But because I also make action movies, suddenly that doesn't count to you." Whoopi raised a hand to intervene. "Okay, let's all take a breath." But Sunny cut through her. "You know what your problem is," she said, her voice sharp as glass. "You've bought into your own hype. Just because you've got abs and can throw a fake punch, you think that makes you a hero." Michael's stare turned ice cold. "Real heroes," Sunny continued, "stand up when it's hard. When there's something at risk. Not just when there's box office numbers to boost." The Michael didn't flinch. His voice dropped to a calm, dangerous quiet. "So this is what being a hero looks like to you. Ambushing someone on live television for ratings. That's bravery." "I don't have a vendetta," Sunny said, lips tight. "I have standards." "Standards," Michael echoed. "Or just a checklist of what you think makes someone authentically black." A joy reached across the table. "All right, that's enough. Both of you." But Michael held up a hand. "No, let her finish. I'd love to hear more about how being successful somehow makes me a traitor to my community." Sunny pointed at him. "You think success means you've made it. That money and fame are the prize. But what about integrity? What about using your influence to do more than just entertain?" "I do more," Michael shot back, now visibly seething. "Entertainment brings people together. It builds joy, it sparks conversation. But you sit in your ivory tower, judging anything that doesn't fit into your narrow box of acceptable blackness." "Narrow," Sunny echoed, her voice cracking. "Because I expect more from someone with your reach." That was the final snap. Michael shoved his chair back and stood tall. "I came here to share my work, to have a conversation. But this isn't a conversation. This is a public execution led by someone who thinks they're the gatekeeper of black excellence." "Sit down," Sunny barked. "We're not done." "Yes, we are," Michael said coldly. "I don't owe you a defense of my existence. I don't need to justify my career to someone who makes a living tearing people down." A gasp rippled through the audience as he reached for his mic, unclipping it with surgical precision. Feedback whined through the studio as a tech scrambled to adjust. You're really going to walk away? Sunny goaded. Can't handle a little pressure? Michael turned back, his voice steady and unamplified, but somehow louder than everything else. You want to know the difference between us, Sunny? He stepped to the edge of the stage. I build. I create jobs. I tell stories that inspire. You tear things down. You've confused cynicism with intelligence, criticism with contribution. The silence in the studio was electric. At the end of the day, he continued, what have you actually built? What have you created, besides outrage clips and Twitter applause? I've built accountability. Sunny shot back, rising to her feet now, too. Something you clearly can't handle. No, Michael said, taking a final breath. You've built a trap. A space where guests get ambushed, stripped of nuance, and turned into sound bites for likes and retweets. You call it journalism. I call it performance. The other hosts had stood now, trying to calm the chaos. The audience was in pandemonium, some clapping, others booing, nearly all of them recording on their phones. Go ahead. Sunny called as he headed offstage. Walk away. Prove my point. The moment someone challenges you, you bail. Michael stopped. Slowly, he turned around. I'm not walking away because I can't take your questions, he said, voice resonating like thunder in the hush. I'm walking away because this was never a question. It was a trap disguised as a conversation, and I don't perform for bullies. Then he walked off. No mech, no applause. Just stunned silence, shattered expectations, and a table full of hosts who suddenly looked very, very small. I'm walking away because I won't be part of this charade, Michael said, his voice steady but cutting. If you want to have an honest conversation about representation responsibility, using our platforms for good, I'm here for it. But this is theater, and I'm not interested in playing the villain in your production. I respect myself too much for that. Respect yourself. Sunny scoffed with a bitter laugh. You respect your paycheck. Don't confuse the two. Michael stopped, turning back slightly, his tone sharpening. The difference between us, Sunny, is that I'm honest about what I do. I make films. I entertain. I tell stories. I employ people. I don't pretend it's anything more than that. You hide behind the illusion of journalism to push your own judgments. You call it accountability. But it's just ego dressed up as ethics. Whoopi stepped in, trying to diffuse the moment. Wait, please, let's all take a breath. We can still pull this back. Michael shook his head slowly. With all due respect. Whoopi, no, I came here in good faith. I won't sit here while someone lobs accusations and calls it journalism. That's not what I agreed to. As he turned to leave, Sunny fired back, her voice following him across the set. What you agreed to was an interview. Sorry, it wasn't the usual softball fluff you're used to. Michael didn't look back. His footsteps echoed through the suddenly silent studio. At the exit, he paused with his hand on the door, as if considering a final word. But he said nothing. He pushed it open and disappeared backstage, leaving behind a stunned silence and a fractured room. The audience erupted instantly. Half booed Sunny, the other half clapped and shouted in support. The remaining hosts sat frozen, processing what had just happened. Sunny remained standing, adrenaline coursing through her, a faint, self-satisfied smile creeping across her lips. Well, she said coolly, I guess we know how he handles pressure. Sunny! Whoopi's voice sliced through the noise. That was completely inappropriate. We invited him here as a guest. You ambushed him. I did my job, Sunny replied without hesitation, settling back into her chair and smoothing her dress. If he can't handle a few tough questions, maybe he should stick to reading lines. Vijay Bahar looked genuinely disturbed. That wasn't journalism, Sunny. That was a personal attack. You decided he was guilty of something before he even sat down. Guilty of wasting his influence, Sunny said, unbothered. Guilty of chasing comfort over consequence. Someone had to say it. Sarah Haynes, usually calm and diplomatic, finally spoke up, her frustration barely contained. But why that way? Why not a real conversation instead of a takedown? Because real conversations don't create real change, Sunny snapped. Comfortable conversations let people walk away feeling validated. What I did was hold up a mirror. A voice shouted from the audience, "You should be ashamed of yourself." That triggered another wave of yelling. Security rushed to calm the rising tide. Whoopi raised her arms. "We need to go to a commercial." Now, but Sunny wasn't done. She turned to the camera, addressing the viewers directly. "I'm not going to apologize for asking why one of our most visible black actors keeps choosing roles that glorify violence and reinforce tired stereotypes. If that makes me the villain, so be it. It's not what you asked," Joy said, cutting in, her voice tight. "It's how you asked it. There's a difference between asking hard questions and humiliating someone on live TV." "Oh, please," Sunny sneered. "He's a multimillionaire movie star. If he can't take criticism, he's in the wrong business. The fact that he walked off proves my point. He folds under pressure." Meanwhile, backstage, producers were in crisis mode. Michael had locked himself in his dressing room, his team already packing up. The executive producer stood outside, knocking and pleading. Back on stage, the chaos continued. An audience member stood and yelled, "You owe him an apology!" Sunny spun around, locking eyes with them. "I owe him nothing. What I owe is the truth, to our viewers. Not polished interviews to stroke celebrity egos." "But you didn't ask questions," someone else shouted. "You attacked him." In the control room, the director hesitated, torn between cutting to commercial and letting the chaos play out. This was a train wreck, but it was gripping TV. Finally, Whoopi slammed her hand on the table. "Enough. We're going to break. When we come back, we're moving on. This is not how we treat guests." "Since when?" Sunny challenged. "Since we decided to act like decent human beings," Sarah said quietly, her voice carrying weight despite its softness. Sunny turned to her. "Decent? Is it decent to let powerful people skate by unchallenged? Is it decent to tiptoe around privilege and influence?" "It's decent to treat people with basic respect," Sarah replied. "It's decent to ask, not accuse." The audience was now fully divided. Arguments broke out. Security was overwhelmed. And still, the cameras rolled. "You want to know the real problem," Sunny said, raising her voice over the noise. "We've normalized mediocrity. We've accepted fame as a substitute for integrity. And the moment someone demands better, we tear them down." "You didn't demand better," Whoopi said firmly. "You demanded he be someone else. You didn't question his choices. You judged them. That's not journalism, Sunny. That's performance." "There's a fine line between the two," Sunny muttered. "No," Joy said quietly but with finality. "There's a massive difference." "What?" "And the fact that you can't see it is genuinely concerning." The commercial break music finally started to play, but the cameras stayed hot for the live studio audience, who sat in stunned silence. Sunny stood up again, unfazed. Her voice rang out over the murmurs and gasps. "You can boo all you want," she said sharply. "But someone needs to ask these questions. Someone needs to challenge these celebrities who think they're above criticism just because they've got muscles and a movie deal." A woman in the front row rose to her feet. "My son looks up to Michael B. Jordan," she said, visibly emotional. "He sees a successful black man who worked hard and made something of himself." "What's wrong with that?" Sunny didn't blink. "What's wrong," she replied, "is that he could be so much more. With his platform, his influence, his power, he could be shaking the foundations. Instead, he's coasting on feel, good stories and playing it safe." "He is making change," another audience member shouted. "He hires black crews. He funds diverse projects. He mentors kids. You just ignored all of that?" "Because it's not enough," Sunny snapped. "Not when he has the power to do more." That was the breaking point. Whoopi stood, her voice low but thunderous. "Sunny, stop. Just stop. You've made your point. You've driven away our guest. You've divided our audience. What more do you want?" "I want people to expect more," Sunny answered. But for the first time, her voice wavered. She looked around at the faces, disappointed, shocked, some outright angry. Even those who might have agreed with her point were clearly rattled by the way she made it. Behind the scenes, the stage manager was urgently counting down. The hosts were forced back into their seats as the show came back from commercial. Whoopi addressed the camera, steady and solemn. "We want to apologize to our viewers for what just happened. Sometimes conversations get passionate, but that's no excuse for losing sight of basic respect. Michael B. Jordan is not just a talented actor. He's a positive force in our community. And we regret that his visit ended the way it did." Sunny opened her mouth to interject. But Whoopi gave her a look so sharp, it cut her off cold. "We'll be right back," Whoopi said, and the screen faded out. But the fallout had already begun. Clips of the clash flooded social media within minutes. The hashtag The View Meltdown shot to the top of trending charts. News outlets scrambled to spin up coverage. Michael B. Jordan's publicist was fielding calls from every major network. In the studio, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Audience members argued among themselves as they filed out, some shaking their heads, others debating loudly. Back at the table, Sunny sat still, her confidence draining by the second. She'd gotten the confrontation she clearly wanted, but at what cost? The other co-hosts avoided her gaze. Crew members gave her a wide berth. Even those who had clapped earlier now looked uneasy. As the studio lights dimmed and taping wrapped for the day, one question lingered in the silence. Had Sunny Hostin exposed a necessary truth about fame, power, and accountability? Or had she crossed a line that turned principled critique into public shaming? It depended on who you asked. But one thing was certain, Jordan's walk off from The View would go down as one of the most unforgettable moments in daytime television history. A flashpoint where idealism collided with ego, and where the pursuit of justice clashed with the need for basic human dignity. So now we ask you, was Sunny Hostin right to push that hard? Or did she go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more explosive celebrity moments. Because sometimes, a walk-off tells you more than the interview ever could.